Museum of Fine Arts Houston is hosting an extensive exhibition on an artist with a unique creative voice.
This is an exhibition devoted to one of the greatest artists in the whole of European art, Edgar Degas. It's the greatest exhibition in America for nearly 30 years, and it's only going to be shown here in Houston, nowhere else in the country. Degas was great for many reasons. He was a contemporary of the Impressionists, but he wasn't actually an Impressionist. He exhibited with the Impressionists, but his technique was quite different to theirs. The Impressionists, alongside whom he worked, were very much interested in the open air, in the depiction of landscape. Degas, by contrast, was not at all interested in landscape. He only did a few landscape paintings, and he was much more interested in drawing the human figure. And he drew and he drew and he drew. Essentially every day he was producing dozens of drawings. I mean, his output was completely phenomenal. And then he turned those drawings into paintings, and he repeated them, he traced them, he flipped them over and made them go the other way around. An astonishing output. And when he died, there were thousands of his works left in his studio, which we're only now beginning to appreciate properly. He was one of the most wonderful artists who depicted the world around him. So he was interested in the people of Paris. He was interested in portraits. He loved to paint and draw and make pastels of and make sculptures of people at their professions. So musicians, dancers, jockeys, milliners, and women ironing clothes. Essentially, he did what we might call professional portraits, where the actual identity of the people didn't matter, but what they were doing was incredibly important to him. And what they were doing was taking different positions with their arms and their legs and their heads. And he loved just depicting the whole business of different professions at work. I think the whole idea that the world was going on around him and he wanted to depict it. And some of the people that he depicted we know very well from today. I mean, we see on television perhaps, jockeys riding horses, we see ballet dancers performing, we even in our own homes see men and women ironing clothes. So essentially it's wonderful to compare the people he was observing with the people that are around us today. But essentially I think the important thing about Degas is that he lived a complete life. We can see him in this exhibition, from the very beginnings when he was just learning how to draw to the very end when he'd actually become quite blind, and his works sort of take on a sort of roughness and a wildness that's due to his very poor vision. So from the incredibly precise early works when he could see very well to the end when he could hardly see at all, we see this tremendous development into something quite strange and quite rough and quite sort of unruly when he was just dealing in broad outlines and wild and bright colours, because that's all he could see at the end of his life.
Degas, A New Vision, is on display through January 16, 2017. For more information, visit www.mfah.org. For Artbeat, I'm Stacee Hawkins.